In this video, we'll look at how to rearrange your data to suit the type of analysis that you want to do. We saw in the video on stratifying data that there are two common ways in which data can be arranged. This data on impurity content has all the data in one column, while there are additional columns to show which batch it was, which shift or which machine produced the product. This is called stacked data, and it's usually the best arrangement. With unstacked data, like these columns showing the amount produced by each shift, you have a separate column for each data set, and sometimes this is more helpful. For example, if you want to do a normality test or a t-test. It's really useful to have an easy way to switch between these two layouts, and I'm going to show you that here. It's in this worksheet, Unstack and Stack Data, and I've already deleted the demonstration data that was in there. Let's start with unstacking. For example, I might want to check the normality of the impurities data for each machine, but the data's all mixed together in one column, so I need to unstack it. I'll select the data from the impurities column, and I'll copy that over to the unstack and stack data using paste values. And then I'll copy the subscript that I'm going to use with which to unstack it, and that in this case is going to be which machine. So I'll pick that column, and rather than try to explain what it's doing, I think I'd better show you because it's easier. What's happening now is that the calculations are looking at the various different values in the machine column and creating a separate column for each. So now I have unstacked data, one for machine 110, one for 180 and one for 220. Now I can check the normality of these three machines data separately. So I'll copy that 110 machine, and I definitely have to do paste special values here because it's been produced with a formula. And now I can look at that specific machine in isolation. So for example, I might make a control chart of it. Just give me that machine, please. Takes a second to load. There we go. Histogram, I'm just going to take the shortcut and tick give me the same data as with the control chart, and I happen to have the spec limit in there already. And now the normality test is going to be performed just for this data, which is machine 110, so that I can do that and do the process capability and control charts for each of the three machines separately. Okay, so that's unstacking. The reverse process is unsurprisingly called stacking. And this is a common situation in particular when you have control charts, so I'm going to use that as an example. In this workbook, I have data that's been used to create an X-bar R control chart. I've got the individual dates of the readings, and it shows us that we've had 3 samples that have been taken on each day. Now this isn't 3 separate machines, this is 3 samples that have been taken consecutively on the same day. It could be any kind of production, but the point is we're going to look at the average and range of these samples. So I'm going to copy this data into the data stacker like that, and now you can see that I've got this unstacked data, and it's going to give me 2 different options for how I can stack it. The first one is to go across the rows one at a time. This is more appropriate for this control chart type data. And you can see that what we've got is 3 different values for the 14th of January, and there they are. Sample 1, sample 2, sample 3 for the 14th, then the 15th, 3 samples, then the 16th, 3 samples. The alternative, which is not appropriate in this particular case, is to go down the columns first, then across the rows. That will give me everything from sample 1, followed by everything from sample 2, followed by everything from sample 3. If I did a time series plot with that data, I'd see all the sample 1s followed by all the sample 2s and then all the sample 3s. Anyway, I'm going to stick with this layout because what I want to see is a set of 3, and then another set of 3, and then another set of 3, and so on. So I'll go back to the data entry, and I'm going to clear out the information that I have currently because that's not relevant for this case. And now take this data and paste that in to have a look at that with the control chart. And there we go. So now I have one column with my variable data, and the subgroup size is going to be 3. I'll go to control charts and I'll select the data that I'm going to use, which is called variable, and enter the subgroup size 3, and immediately I enter that 3. The individual and moving range chart shuts down, and I scroll over, and there we have the X-bar R chart. Very, very quick and easy to produce. In the next video, we'll look at a little used but very powerful tool for looking at the impact of several factors at once, and that's called a multivariate chart.